We were wanting to improve our students' writings. We decided to begin by building learning partnerships between our students, parents and teachers, and we thought this would be done through the use of the parents and the students offering each other feedback, and we used the EduBlogs as a tool to achieve this. So we decided to incorporate the extra normal as another element, and basically it gives their writing a new dimension, because not only are they writing scripts and like they normally would, they're actually seeing their stories come to life, and through the EduBlogs it gave them a real purpose and an authentic audience to watch their movies as well. We surveyed them and asked them questions about what they thought feedback was, and we found out fairly quickly that they had no idea what feedback was, or they hadn't heard the terms that we were using in the survey. So as a unit we decided to incorporate feedback in other areas, other subject areas, and so we were doing that before we started the project, really, the main movie section, and they started to use the language before they started the movie, so it was much easier. We surveyed the students based on their attitudes towards writing, and we found that they had a fairly good attitude towards writing, but we could improve it. EduBlog is a provider, an educational web space provider that we decided to use because it gives you a lot of control over monitoring feedback and comments posted by parents. Basically, we signed up through EduBlog and then were able to design a web space and place students' work onto it. On the front page of the web space, we had an outline of the whole project and the procedure that the kids would go through, and an outline of the types of feedback that parents could give, or friends, and we used the 2 stars and a wish with the students and the parents, and basically there was a performer there for them to follow. We used Extra Normal. Extra Normal is a program that allows students to type in a script, and then they can design a movie where they select the characters and the background and add sound effects and look at camera angles. And we incorporated Extra Normal because our inquiry unit was actually titled Lights, Camera, Action, and we were looking at the design and technology strand, and we linked it to our writing and the engagement levels of students. To begin with, we let the students just play with Extra Normal and just explore the tools and what the possibilities were, and we found that to be extremely helpful because they looked at all the characters and then they thought about what made a good movie. So once we'd played for a long time and they got used to using the tool, they came up with a class rubric, and we looked at what makes a really good movie, and they set fairly high expectations for themselves, and probably due to the playing around with the tool, Extra Normal. And then they began the process of writing their movie with the characters in mind, and they were given a contract to sign, and they had planned their movies first, and then they started writing, and they worked towards the rubric as well, which was helpful. So once they completed their first movie, it was posted onto the EduBlog, and then they were encouraged to get some feedback from family members or friends, and we also linked it to our pen pals, and they were able to give their pen pal a comment and some feedback. So the 2 stars and a wish, basically once you've seen the student's movie, you'd look for 2 positive elements that were inside the movie. They used the rubric as well. So they were looking at the rubric and what the students had achieved. So they'd give them 2 types of feedback which were positive, and then the wish is something they can improve on in their next movie. Basically it was fairly informal. They were just invited to make a comment at first, and they were asked to try and follow the process of 2 stars and a wish. Some parents didn't do that, but most did, and the kids felt that they were the most useful comments that were posted, were the ones that included the 2 stars and a wish. They were able to get onto the laptop and read their feedback, and some had done that at home already, and then think about setting themselves a goal for their second movie, which they then wrote in their reflective journals. Their movies were fairly simple to start with, so they needed probably a problem, and some needed to work towards writing more. So they used their rubric to give them some feedback as well. And we used the 2 stars and a wish from the class, and also and I highlighted on the rubric what they'd achieved, and then they got their feedback from their parents too.
Well, 2 stars tells you what you've done really good, and a wish tells you what you need to work on your next movie.
I found that the students really valued receiving feedback, and especially from those special people in their lives that don't always get the chance to be a part of their learning journey.
I like being able to share my work with my nan and pa who live far away. It's really good because you can sort of share it anyone. All you have to do is tell them the class website, and then they can go on it on their computer. I taught my mum and dad how to make comments. Now I like reading their comments.
We really learned about it through Wade using it at home. That was where we've picked up most of the information. It's a good way of reinforcing to the kids that, you know, you're interested in what they're doing. And Wade's in a fortunate position that my parents live in China, so they're able to access the website and to give him valuable feedback, and so he feels like they're a part of his learning, and he takes extra pride in that, and I think it helps him in you know, trying that bit harder and wanting to show them what he's learnt. So they get a lot out of it as well.
Allowing parents to and family members to be involved in their child's learning journey is so important, and the feedback that they receive, that the students receive, is so important to them, and that's the first thing that they look for. They're used to me telling them what they need to do every day, but yeah, probably having their grandparents or their family friend make a comment on the page about how they can improve on what they're doing is just so powerful, and that's the one they always decide to set as their goal. I did notice that the boys became more engaged in writing, and they were writing more, and they were doing it at home more often through using ICT as a tool to enhance their writing. So definitely it helps the boys.
A group of our boys from our class, and a group of boys from other class made up an account, and now we're making movies on our own account.
To be honest, like when I see him on the computer, I can't believe how much he knows, and like even like his typing, it gives him so much confidence that he can just, you know, turns the laptop on and he can just, you know, undertake the learning himself. He doesn't need any prompting or encouraging, and it's just like his confidence with a computer is huge. So, and I think without this mode of learning, he probably wouldn't have that.
Don't be scared of ICT, because there's so many wonderful tools out there that can enhance your classroom and your teaching skills, and sometimes it can even make your life easier, not harder. If you find the right tool to do it, for example, Extra Normal gave my class the chance to all be using the same tool but just go off in different areas, and once they were off on task and working, I was able to pull students out and work with them individually and work on their personal needs. I guess I just stood back and just let them take ownership of their learning, which I hadn't done very much of before, and it wasn't as intimidating as I first thought.